Modern playing cards are filled with layers of meaning and symbols that can be traced back centuries. The Four Kings, for example, are based on real rulers. The King of Diamonds represents the wealthy Julius Caesar. The King of Clubs is the brutal Alexander the Great. The King of Spades represents the strong but kind David of Israel. And the King of Hearts represents the emotionally disturbed Charles VII of France. It is this king that we will all be dealing with today. It should also be noted that Charles was the only one of the four who was actually there to see the day his face was printed on a playing card, which may rationalize why he acted apart from the others. Charles's visage was put on the King of Hearts at the very beginning of his rule, but he never got the chance to come into contact with playing cards until many years later, when he became very ill with a fever and was informed he would be bedridden for the rest of his life. It was during this period that Charles began learning card games to pass the time, such as an early version of blackjack called 21. Charles lay in his bed for 2 years, constantly fiddling with the cards and always getting weaker. As time passed, there were reports that Charles began obsessing over the idea that the king being the 13th card in a suit was causing him bad luck. Of course, his ramblings were blamed on the fever, and by the end of the second year, he had been declared insane and his son Louis VII took over the throne. One day, several months after the end of his reign, one of Charles's physicians went to the chamber to find the frail old man standing in the middle of the room, wielding a large sword. Before the doctor could react, the king said, "Il montre la vérité de traiter en et cela ne signifie pas pour les yeux mortels," which roughly translates to, "They have shown me the truth of 13, and it is not meant for mortal eyes." Without hesitation, the king proceeded to ram the blade into the left side of his head, between the ear and temple, until it came out of the other side. He wavered for a moment before collapsing to the floor, dead. After the incident was announced and it was made public that the king had gone mad, the image of Charles on the King of Hearts was altered to show his suicide. Although the picture is now shown significantly less graphically, the image of Charles thrusting the sword into his skull can still be found on modern-day playing cards. Perhaps the strangest part of this whole story, however, is the day that Charles chose to kill himself. 7/6/1462. Whether it was the intention of the king, the facts that 7 plus 6 equal 13, and 1 plus 4 plus 6 plus 2 equals 13 can only be explained as coincidences. I've been lying down for hours now. It's 5:30 a.m. and there's not much I can do. You know what the worst part of my situation is? I'm in the same room with my parents. They keep looking at me, and I can't help but look back and try not to cry or scream. Their eyes are focused on me and their mouths are wide open. There's a strong scent of blood and I feel so paralyzed with fear. Here's the thing, the second I make any hint that I'm not asleep anymore, I'm completely fucked. I will die and there's nobody around to save me. I've been trying to think of a way out, but the only idea I have is to rush for the door and run outside and scream for help, hoping any neighbors hear me. It's risky, but if I stay here, I'll surely die. He's waiting for me to wake up and see his masterpiece. You're probably wondering what's going on. I do get ahead of myself sometimes. About 3 hours ago, I heard screaming from the other side of the house. I got up and went to check on the noise before realizing I had to use the restroom. Instead of doing the smart thing and investigating, I used the bathroom first. Could have gotten myself killed right then for my stupid actions, but I actually did my business and took a peek outside the bathroom. There was blood on the carpet. I got very worried and ran back to my room, hiding under my sheets like the pussy I was. I tried to convince myself to go back to sleep, that it was just some really vivid dream or something. But I heard my bedroom door open. Like the terrified child I was, I peeked from under my blankets to see what was going on. I could see something dragging my dead parents into the room. It was not human, I can tell you that. It was hairless, with no eyes and no clothing. It walked like a caveman, with its back slouched as it dragged my parents. But this thing was much smarter than any caveman. It was aware of what it was doing. It propped up my dad on the edge of the bed and made me face him. It then sat my mother down in the chair and positioned her towards me as well. It then started rubbing its hands up on the walls, staining them with blood, and then drew a circle with the devil's pentagram in it. This thing had made what it would call a masterpiece. To finish it off, it scribbled a message onto the wall that I could not read in the darkness. It then positioned itself under my bed, waiting to strike. The scariest thing is, now my eyes have adjusted to the darkness, and since then I can read the message on the wall. I don't want to look at it, because it's terrifying to think about, but I feel I need to see it before I'm killed. I peek at the creature's masterpiece. I know you're awake. You just moved into your new apartment in a very big city. After a year of this life, you have almost given up hope of making any friends, be it at work or any other means. You feel very lonely. After looking for a peaceful place to spend your time, you find a quiet diner on the outskirts of town. The waitress is very attractive. Also, she seems to be the only employee there. Ever. You never see anyone else eat there either. Ever. The perfect place for you. Making love to her becomes a routine. You go there every night for dinner and then to see her. You eventually make other friends and eat at the diner less and less. After some time, you stop going completely. At a bar with your best friend, you tell him about the fun you had with the waitress at the diner. She says he absolutely must see her. You take him there one night, but the building is in a state of ruin. The front door barely opens, the grimy insides of the diner are disgusting, and behind the counter is a moldy corpse reeking of pus and rot. When the police come to the scene, they interview both you and your friend. You are shocked to hear that the body is of a runaway girl from another province. The police tell you this is a homicide, and she was also raped dozens of times after she was killed. The police say they can get a match for DNA and eliminate you as a suspect. You are suddenly very, very worried. Hey everyone, Haunted here. Hope you all like these stories, and pardon my French, but you should subscribe and join the Haunted Army. But in all seriousness, I hope you all enjoyed them. Be sure to let me know what else you wonderful people would like me to do next. I'm thinking of branching out from just narrating and may start posting animations of this kind of stuff. So if you'd like to see that, don't forget to like, subscribe, maybe even comment, and I'll see you all very, very soon.